We hosted a block party for the first time. Everyone came except the neighbor across the street. At the end of the night, a cake box was left on our porch. Inside was a note. "You'll pay for replacing me." I thought it was junk. But that night, our smoke alarm went off. Someone had poured gasoline near our kitchen door. No fire started. But inside the gas can was a baby shoe, the same kind we buried with our stillborn daughter. When I showed the police, they asked if I told anyone where it was buried. I had. Once. 2 years ago. To her. I'm not the kind of guy who gets caught up in drama. I mow my lawn. I go to work. I take care of my wife. I stay out of other people's business. But now I can't sleep through the night without checking the locks 3 times and making sure the baby monitor, yeah, the one we never got to use, is still on, even though there's no baby to hear. This all started because we tried to do something nice. That's what still messes with my head. We just wanted to be good neighbors. We never expected anything like this. I live in Shorewood, Wisconsin. It's a quiet suburb outside of Milwaukee. A lot of old homes with big front porches. People walk their dogs, wave at each other, all that small town stuff. It's the kind of place you move to after life kicks you in the teeth, because you're hoping for some peace. That's what we were doing. Maggie and I had been through hell. 2 years ago, we lost our daughter. Stillborn. Her name was Ellie. We had everything ready for her. Painted the nursery soft yellow. Got a rocking chair. Hung stars from the ceiling. But she never got to use any of it. After the funeral, we buried one of her baby's shoes with her. Just one. The other one stayed with us in a shadow box in our room. Maggie said it helped her feel connected. We didn't talk about it much. Grief makes you quiet. So when Maggie came to me and said, "Let's throw a block party," I said yes right away. She needed something good. I did too. We'd lived on the street for about a year. Didn't know many people beyond waves and hellos. There was one neighbor across the street, an older woman named Jeanette. Never smiled. Always watching through her front window. I tried to be polite at first. Maggie brought her banana bread once. She barely looked up. Didn't even say thanks. But she wasn't mean. Just cold. Quiet. Lonely, maybe? Anyway, we sent flyers out, made a Facebook invite. Rented tables and chairs. I grilled. Maggie made a big thing of pasta salad. We even got name tags. People showed up with drinks, desserts, kids, even their dogs. The whole street came alive for the first time. Except Jeanette. Her porch light was off. Curtains drawn. She didn't come out. Didn't say a word. I figured maybe she just wasn't a people person. That was fine. After it got dark, folks started heading home. I was folding chairs. Maggie was inside cleaning up. I went to set something on the porch, and saw a white bakery box on the porch swing. It had no name on it. Just taped shut. I thought maybe someone left cake or something as a thank you. I opened it. There was no cake. Just a folded piece of paper. "You'll pay for replacing me." I stared at it for a while, trying to make sense of it. Thought maybe it was a weird joke. Some kid messing around. The box didn't even smell like cake. It smelled like cardboard and old air. I crumpled the note and tossed it in the trash. We went to bed around midnight. At 2:13 a.m., the smoke alarm went off. I jumped out of bed, heart racing. Maggie sat up, disoriented. I ran to the kitchen, thinking maybe I left the stove on or something, but there was no smoke. Just this harsh chemical smell that hit me the second I opened the back door. That's when I saw it. A line of liquid, gasoline, poured in a trail across our back porch, right up to the kitchen door. My stomach turned. I followed it with my eyes and saw a red gas can sitting by the steps. No fire. No matches. Just the gas. And the smell. I picked up the can. It was heavy. Not full, but not empty. I shook it a little. Something thudded inside. I unscrewed the cap, tilted it, and that's when it fell out. A tiny baby shoe. Soaked dark from the gas, but I knew exactly what it was. Hand knit. Pink. Crooked little bow. My knees buckled. It was the match to the one in our bedroom. The one we buried with Ellie. I couldn't speak. I just held it, staring at it. Maggie came up behind me. I didn't even turn around. She looked over my shoulder and saw it too. She didn't scream. She just made this awful sound, like all the air had left her lungs. We called the police. They showed up fast. 2 officers, then a detective. Took pictures. Asked questions. Had we seen anyone? Did we have cameras? Did we have enemies? We told them no. Then the detective asked something that made my skin crawl. Did you ever tell anyone where the baby was buried? I paused. Thought about it. Then I said, yeah. One person. 2 years ago. I told our neighbor across the street. Jeanette. The room went silent. They asked me how she knew. Why I told her. It was a small thing. A throwaway moment. Right after the funeral, I was walking back from the mailbox. Jeanette was sitting on her porch, sipping tea like she always did. I guess I looked like hell. She asked how Maggie was holding up. I told her we'd buried Ellie under a lilac tree up north. I didn't say where. Just up north. I mentioned the shoe, how Maggie kept the other. I don't even know why I told her. I wasn't looking for comfort. Maybe I just needed to say something out loud to someone who didn't know her. To make Ellie real to someone else. That was it. I forgot about it until now. The detective made notes. Promised they'd run prints on the can. Said they'd check if Jeanette had any history of mental illness or anything unusual. But here's the thing, legally, we had nothing solid. No camera caught her. No one saw her put the box on our porch. Even the note was typed, not handwritten. Still, I knew it was her. The next morning, I walked out to get the paper. Jeanette was on her porch, as usual. She looked right at me and smiled. First time she ever smiled. It made my skin crawl. I called out, "Do you know what was in that cake box?" She didn't flinch. Just sipped her tea and said, "People get what they deserve." I lost it. I marched across the street, fists clenched. Maggie yelled from the front door. I got halfway across the yard before I stopped myself. She wanted me to react. That much was clear. So I went back inside. Sat on the couch. Stared at the wall. For the next few weeks, strange things kept happening. Maggie's car tires were slashed one night. No cameras. No proof. Our mailbox was filled with shredded photos. Copies of Ellie's ultrasound that Maggie had kept in her desk. Gone. The flower pot on Ellie's little memorial shelf outside. Smashed. Every time, we called the police. Every time, they wrote a report. No evidence, they said. Could be coincidence. But Maggie was falling apart. She couldn't sleep. Couldn't eat. She cried in the shower so I wouldn't hear her. I started staying home from work more often. We installed cameras. Motion lights. I bought a bat and kept it by the door. Then, one night I caught her. It was 2:47 a.m. The motion light clicked on. I checked the feed from my phone and saw someone in a dark coat crouched near our back steps. I grabbed the bat and ran outside. She was there, Jeanette, holding a matchbook and a glass jar filled with some kind of liquid. I didn't stop. I charged. She screamed and dropped everything, tried to run, but I tackled her in the grass. She fought like a wild animal, scratching, kicking. I pinned her down and shouted for Maggie to call 911. When the cops came, they arrested her. The jar was bleach mixed with lighter fluid. She said it was for cleaning. She said I attacked her for no reason. That's when the real twist hit me. The police were cold. They read me my rights. Took me in too. She had scratches. A bruise. She told them I'd been harassing her for months. Said I was obsessed. That I'd come to her house screaming about the baby. That I made threats. That the gas can? Mine. And because she had no record, because she looked like a sweet old lady to anyone who didn't know better, they believed her. I spent the night in a holding cell. Maggie bailed me out the next morning, crying and furious. The charges didn't stick, not fully. But they gave her a restraining order. Against me. She played it perfectly. She made herself the victim. That day, I realized something. I wasn't dealing with a crazy neighbor. I was dealing with a psychopath. And no one believed me. Not even the people on my own street. A few started looking at us funny. I could see the whispers. The way people pulled their kids away when we passed by. Jeanette would sit on her porch, watching. Smiling. She wanted to break us. She wanted us gone. And if the law wouldn't stop her, I was going to stop her myself. I didn't know where to start. You can't fight someone like Jeanette head on. She wanted me to lash out. She wanted me to lose control. So I started small. I spent every night going over everything we knew about her. I scrolled through old neighborhood forums, archived posts, property records. I talked to neighbors who'd been here longer. Not directly, just casual chats about the good old days. I found out Jeanette used to run the HOA back in the late 90s. She was basically the queen of the street back then. Ran the 4th of July events, the Halloween walk, even got speed bumps installed. But 10 years ago, something changed. The HOA quietly removed her. No big scandal, just, she was no longer in charge. I asked Paul, the guy 2 doors down, what happened. He got uncomfortable. Said she got too intense. Started threatening people who didn't follow her rules. Tried to fine a family for painting their shutters blue. They voted her out. Paul said she never forgave anyone for it. Suddenly the note made more sense. You'll pay for replacing me. She saw Maggie as the new queen of the block. And she couldn't stand it. But the part that really got me? When Paul mentioned a family that used to live in our house. The Lorries. Nice people, he said. Left after their kid got hit by a car. What happened? I asked. He hesitated. Said it was an accident. But they moved out quick after. The whole thing felt weird. The boy survived, but barely. I looked into it later. Found a news article. The Lorry boy was 7. Hit by a car while playing near the street. The driver was never found. No witnesses. But the accident happened right in front of Jeanette's house. I went cold. I kept digging. There were patterns. Quiet ones. Families moved away after odd things happened. Property damage, dead pets, fires. Always nothing too big. Never enough to get serious attention. But one thing stood out. Every family that left? Their wife was the social one. The organizer. The new favorite on the block. And Jeanette was always left behind. That's when I stopped calling her crazy. This wasn't just anger. It was a pattern. She'd been doing this for decades. And now, she was doing it to us. I showed everything I found to Maggie. She listened in silence. Then she stood up and walked straight to the closet. When she came back, she was holding the shadow box with Ellie's shoe. She opened it. Held it next to the gas-soaked one the police gave back. Identical. No one else knew, she said. Just her. Something inside Maggie changed that day. She didn't cry anymore. She didn't shake. She got focused. We came up with a plan. We weren't going to leave. We weren't going to fight her the way she wanted. We were going to expose her. We bought hidden cameras. Inside and out. We got a private investigator. Paid out of pocket. We started a paper trail. Logged every noise. Every light flicker. Every anonymous package. The PI found her daughter. Lives in St. Paul, Minnesota. Estranged for over 15 years. Said her mom was not right in the head. Told us something else too. Jeanette used to be a nurse. Got fired after she was caught swapping patient meds. Almost killed a man. No charges stuck. But she lost her license. We finally had something. Maggie and I printed out everything. Every police report. Every neighbor statement I could get. Every record from the PI. We didn't take it to the cops. We took it to Channel 12 News. And that's when the real storm started. Channel 12 didn't bite right away. They said they needed more proof. A real story. So we gave them one. Maggie called Jeanette one afternoon. Put her on speaker. She pretended to be scared. Told her we were moving. Said we couldn't handle the stress anymore. Jeanette was quiet for a moment. Then she said, clear as day, that baby wasn't meant to live. Neither were you two. You'll see. Leaving is your only chance. We recorded everything. The reporter came to our house the next day. Filmed the back steps, the gas stains still in the wood. Took copies of the audio, the police records, the PI's notes. 2 weeks later, the story aired. Nightmare on Norwood Drive, elderly woman accused of years of harassment and psychological abuse. They blurred our faces but kept hers front and center. Jeanette sitting on her porch, holding her tea like nothing had ever happened. People started talking. Fast. We weren't the only ones. A woman from 2 blocks over came forward. Said her daughter's bike had been found in pieces after she refused to give Jeanette her Wi-Fi password. Another man said Jeanette accused him of stealing her mail, then showed up at his job with a box of dead squirrels. It piled up. Years of weird, awful, borderline criminal behavior. Always just under the line. Always impossible to prove. But now there was a spotlight. And Jeanette hated the light. She filed a lawsuit against us, defamation, harassment, trespassing. The works. But the audio? The evidence? It killed her case before it even started. That's when she stopped hiding. The last night we saw her, she stood in her driveway, in the rain, staring at our house. I walked out onto the porch, just watching her. She shouted across the street. I kept this street alive! I kept it in line! You think you've won? You haven't. You just killed something pure. Then she walked back inside. The next morning, she was gone. Packed up. Moved out before sunrise. Left no note. No goodbye. Just gone. We found out later she moved in with her daughter, who only took her in because the state threatened guardianship. But even though she left, the damage stayed. Maggie couldn't look at the shadow box anymore. She buried it in the backyard. I still wake up at night, thinking I smell gasoline. But here's where I admit something. Something I haven't told Maggie. A week before Jeanette left, I drove north. Back to where Ellie is buried. I dug down, hands shaking. And I looked. The casket was still there. Sealed. But the shoe? Gone. It wasn't just a copy. It was her shoe. And I told Jeanette where. She went there. Dug up my baby's grave. That kind of evil doesn't just leave. It lingers. So I did something I'm not proud of. I went back to Jeanette's old house after she moved. Late at night. Let myself in through the back door. It was still empty. No furniture. Just dust and silence. I brought something with me. One of the gas cans she'd left behind. I poured it in a slow line. Across the floor. Up the stairs. Into the walls. And I lit a match. Watched it burn from across the street. The house went up fast. Sirens came, neighbors panicked. I stood with them, shocked, quiet. No one suspected me. Everyone thought maybe it was an accident. Old wires. Gas leak. But I knew. It wasn't revenge. It was justice. Because that house held too many ghosts. And some things should burn. We still live here. People wave again. The whispers stopped. But I see the look in their eyes sometimes. The way they ask if we're doing better. We are. Mostly. But I know there's a line in me now that didn't exist before. A quiet, sharp edge that got carved the night a gas can showed up on my porch with a baby shoe inside. And if anyone ever crosses that line again, they won't get a warning. They'll get fire.